Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
So we're going to have a quick breakdown and look through all the excuses that Deontay Wilder's had ever since Tyson Fury absolutely demolished him. Now, we're not going to be talking about the other mad things that he said and done previously. This is not about his psychology or anything like that. Things like his one wish is to be pregnant, the fact that he named his belt Sophia, the fact that his grandma said that he's anointed by God with his power, and all these other kind of mad things, and the amount of times that he's twerking and whatever else, okay? We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about things that apparently he has said, most of it in recent days as well, okay? So we're going to start off with the fact that he was going to be suing his own mum because she gave him tainted breast milk when he was a baby, which is why his legs are so skinny, so now he's suing his mum. That's actually not true, but there is actually an article out there saying that, believe it or not. It's true. Anyway, joking aside. So, the serious ones that Wilder has said is that the costume for his ring walk was too heavy. Okay, so the costume was too heavy. Now, a couple of points on that one. He said it was, what over 40 pounds, or he believed it was about 46 pounds. Well, when he said that, a couple of days later, the manufacturers, the couple of camp guys who made this costume said, actually, no, it was 26 pounds. But then they quickly removed it afterwards. So is it 46 pounds or was it 26 pounds? Don't know. Either way, it did take him a hell of a long time to walk to the ring, did it not? With that guy on the microphone, all I heard was black. Honestly, that's all I heard. I didn't understand a word of it. And the guy was walking so slow, my grandmother, who's 1 foot in the grave already, could have walked faster than him. So if the costume was fast, well, it's your own fault, isn't it? And why didn't you try the thing on way beforehand? Okay, so let's not be using the excuse of the costume. Now, if there's a problem with his eyesight in that one, you could probably say fair enough in some ways, but I'm quite surprised that he hasn't actually used that one with his eyesight, because his eyes glowed up with the LED lights in his costume on his mask. And when he took the mask off, you could see that he kept rubbing his eyes. Quite clearly, the glare of that hurt his eyes, didn't it? But he hasn't even used that one, which is probably the only legitimate excuse that he could have done. But either way, the costume, pretty pathetic. Tyson Fury has moved his fist down within his glove. Now, of course, he's talking about the first fight. Now, it doesn't really matter about the first fight anyway, because that was 2 years ago. So why, I mean, what relevance has that got on you getting your backside handed to you and your pants pulled down and your bare backside smacked? What relevance does that have? Absolutely none. But it didn't happen anyway. Tyson Fury, I've already covered this one. Tyson Fury used Everlast MX gloves that are filled, the padding is filled with horsehair. When they get even just a little bit of moisture, they go all distorted. And they do get loose. And they do get baggy. This has happened time and time again. This is not a unique experience for Tyson Fury just because he was fighting Deontay Wilder. But even if there was something amiss with his gloves from the first fight, which there wasn't, but even if there was, well, Wilder said that Fury has pillows for fists and he doesn't punch hard. That's why he was walking through him and blah. So why suddenly was there a problem now? You're mad, absolutely mad. Tyson Fury, he put a heavy object in his glove. This is for the rematch. Apparently an egg weight. Now, I didn't know what egg weight was, but it's actually those weights that boxers use for some shadow boxing. Little thing that sits in the palm of the hand and they just throw out fists and what have you. Now, of course, I've seen boxers do this many times. I just didn't know it's called an egg weight. But apparently, somehow, Tyson Fury managed to slip that inside his glove to where his palm is, and then hit Wilder with an open hand, which caused a dent in his head. Now, these egg weights are quite big. So, first and foremost, Tyson Fury, he's got many people around him, including the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The referee oversees it as well. The WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, was in the change room. And Deontay Wilder's manager/trainer, Jay Dees, was also in the changing room with Tyson Fury, watching him get his hands wrapped and gloves put on and then taped up and signed off so they cannot be tampered with in any way, shape or form. You would be lucky if you can put your finger down where the wrist is, let alone an egg weight. Okay? So, If somehow he managed to do that, he is an absolute genius. Because even when he got to the ring, what did the referee do? Checked his gloves, checked Wilder's gloves. But yet couldn't see this huge ball on the palm of his hand. Didn't feel it, no? And no, they don't just feel the outside of your gloves, they feel all the way through. They give them all a bit of a squeeze to make sure nothing is in it. Unless, of course, the referee is also in on it. I mean, can you imagine? The whole world is against Deontay Wilder. Unbelievable, right? So, absolute madness, okay? Dent in the forehead or no dent in the forehead. That dent in the forehead or the side of the head could have been there for the longest time. Or maybe he's got weak bone structure because he's always going in and out of hospital for repairs to his hands and surgery. So quite clearly they're giving him some kind of steroids or injections, whatever it may be, to help up the healing process. And if they are steroids, then what's going to happen is, well, weak bone structure. Okay, so maybe you got some weak bones there, boy. Eh? Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe it happened in sparring but flared up in the fight. Who knows, right? Who knows? Either way, madness. Somebody spiked his water with muscle relaxant. Somebody spiked his water. Now, according to Deontay Wilder, he believes that Mark Breland, his trainer, who also threw in the towel in that as well, who he also calls disloyal as well, may have had something to do with the spiked water. So he's accusing Mark Breland of spiking his water. Mark Breland, who's been in his corner for 10, 12 years. Mark Breland, who has represented the United States of America as an amateur and pro, will turn his back on his own countrymen in favour of a Brit. Doesn't matter the fact that he's got a history with Kronk, and of course Tyson Fury's trainer for that fight, and of course for the foreseeable future now in Sugar Hill, is the nephew of Manny Stewart. Even though Mark Breland had a relationship with Manny Stewart, not with Sugar Hill. But he's going to do all that. Why? Why would he do that? He wouldn't do that. But even if he did, even if his water was spiked or whatever it may be, it wasn't, but even if it was, why didn't it show up in Nevada testing? Why not? Why didn't it show up in Nevada testing? The only way that it would not be flagged and put out publicly is if he has some kind of therapeutic use exemptions. Let's go back to him having surgery with all the steroids and the recovery process or whatever it may be that he's taking to recover from surgery or whatever else. So is there some kind of masking thing in there? So Wilder could take things and say, oh, well, it's part of my recovery, so therefore it's not being flagged upon VADA. So if you were spiked, Wilder, and it didn't show up on the VADA, then clearly you have some kind of therapeutic use exemption, do you not? Correct? Otherwise, if you don't, then it would have showed up on VADA, and it didn't. You only have to take a Lemsip or a little bit of cough syrup or a nasal spray, and it's showing up on VADA. So how can somebody spike you with muscle relaxant and it didn't show up? I'll tell you why. Because it just didn't happen, did it, Wilder? It just didn't happen. You may have felt dizzy and weak or a little bit tired or whatever it may be. Maybe the occasion got to you. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe you were scared. Just maybe, huh? And Kenny Bayless was unfair as well. So, yes, of course, he's also playing the referee. I won't be at all surprised if he's blamed his little dog at home as well. Because it licked his face 2 days before the fight or whatever it may be. Don't be surprised if something like that comes out as well. But Kenny Bayless was unfair. Kenny Bayless, I was watching that fight. And of course, I've watched it many times since because I enjoyed watching that fight. Kenny Bayless was very, very pro Deontay Wilder in this one. He was not neutral at all. He seemed to be on the side of Deontay Wilder. On 2 occasions, Wilder should have been counted at least a standing 8 count because he went and stumbled backwards after he got hit by Fury and saved himself from hitting the deck by holding on to the ropes when he was going down. He used the ropes to stop himself falling. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a knockdown. Don't believe me? Go watch the Alexander Povetkin versus David Price fight. When David Price hit Povetkin, Povetkin went stumbling backwards, used the ropes to stop himself from falling. The referee stepped in and counted to 8. Every time that Fury and Wilder got close, Kenny Bayless was jumping in. All the time, knowing that Wilder cannot fight on the inside. He gave Tyson Fury a warning, did he not? In fact, didn't he dock a point of Tyson Fury as well? I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did for, was it excessive holding or something? Correct me on that one, but I'm pretty sure Kenny Bayless docked a point of Tyson Fury. So Kenny Bayless, the referee, is unfair. He was on Fury's side. Well, I hate to see if he's not on Fury's side then. He'd have probably disqualified Fury before the bell even started. Come on now. And of course, Mark Breeden was disloyal. So these are the many things that Wilder's coming out with. Let's also not forget as well that his own brother said that the doctor performed an autopsy on Deontay Wilder. So no wonder Wilder's been feeling weak and weird and everything, because he's been dead for the longest time. He is actually a zombie. As Wilder said, he felt like a zombie. Well, quite clearly he was, because you've been lying in wake in the mortuary with people filling you up with embalming fluid and doing an autopsy on you. This is madness. Madness, Wilder. Absolute madness. Anyway, there may have been one or two other things that I've missed as well. I said I haven't watched all these interviews that he's had because I don't watch the clown channels. So maybe there's going to be some more nuggets that's pointed out as well. But Wilder, it's all very well looking inside your own soul and your own self, saying, well, why did I lose? But it starts and finishes with you. Doesn't matter how you look at it, it starts and finishes with you. And now you want to try and blame Tyson Fury for breach of contract, even though you insisted on the expiry date, or at least your team did. Why not blaming your team? If Tyson Fury had an egg weight, why not blaming your trainer manager, JD's, who was in the changing room with him? Because no egg weight, once the glove is on and there's tape wrapped around the laces and the wrist part, you cannot, you could probably just about fit a finger down there, let alone an egg weight. That is the size of a small fist. Just stop it, please. Just stop it. But anyway, carry on giving me content. All right? Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.